Hey guys, welcome back, and today we have another week of box office, so let's get into it. Up first, as always, is Juliet, which went from 91.20 to 93.38 and 922K to 1,044,756. So it seems like Juliet is going to be doing quite solid numbers with Charli D'Amelio being in the stunt casting. I don't think the show is going to close anytime soon. If it does close, it won't be until like 2026, January of 2026. So for right now, it's doing fine, even though it had a pretty, a pretty rough fall. The Louis Armstrong musical continues to flop. 65% last week, 75% this week. 503K last week and 559K this week. I'm expecting a closing notice pretty soon. Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club is going to have Eva Noblezada come in until I believe the summer. And then it's rumored that Miley Cyrus is going to be in it. So, hey, this production had a big comeback. This week, last week, 95%. And 1,129,870. This week, 90%, and 1,083,199. Death Becomes Her had a fantastic week. 95% last week, 94% this week, and 1,018,631 last week, and 1,316,181 this week. Gypsy, last week 97% and 1,748,927. This week 93% and 1,891,769. Hadestown is doing quite good considering it is now post-holidays and no big stunt casting. Last week 101%, this week 98%, and 995K last week to this week's 846K, a very good week. Here's to hoping that it's gonna survive, because I know for me, I love Hadestown, I don't want it to close, but when I am telling you that it's going to close at some point, I'm just being realistic. Hadestown is gonna do, I think, very solid this next year. As long as they stay above 700K, they should be fine. Hamilton, 99% last week, 94% this week. Last week, 1,855,573. This week, 1,900,809. Hell's Kitchen is continuing to see a downward trend. Last week, 86%. This week, 86.26. Last week, 1,079,257. This week, 1,159,108. Obviously, if you look at the summer and the fall, it was doing 100% capacity, 1,300,000 at the minimum. So this is definitely concerning for Hell's Kitchen, but it's made so much money, and this is still very good money that it's making, that I have no doubt that they're concerned at all. It's just that they're experiencing a very clear, more present post-holiday dump. But I think once we get into the summer and into the spring, everything will go back to normal. But again, Hell's Kitchen may have had its moment, and the ceiling it got hit, and now it's just gonna be going on 1,100,000, 1,200,000, which is still very profitable. Still makes it one of the most successful musicals of all of the weeks, or of every single week. Maybe Happy Ending continues to do amazing. 97% last week and 876K. This week, 95% capacity, but the overall gross went to 890K. And the average ticket is 117. Again, maybe Happy Ending is doing fantastic numbers. I cannot believe it is doing this good. Even when it decreased by such a small amount. And for it to have an increase post-holidays is amazing. If you look at it, if you look at advanced sales, it is selling amazing, and it's selling so good. So I think we can say that we have nothing to be concerned about, and that maybe Happy Ending is just continuing to get on that wave of hype. And again, I've explained a lot at why the show is succeeding, but I think it's strong marketing campaign and them switching to a different marketing company. The people that did The Great Gatsby, very effective. There was a post on the Instagram that I've looked at many times, top 5 reasons why you should see maybe Happy Ending, and it's genius. I also think the amazing reviews. I mean, these are the kind of notices that Hamilton got. Like, not even Akimbo, I feel like, or Strange Loop got this kind of love, this kind of momentum, this kind of community love. And while I did say early on in previews that the early pricing, I thought, and making the prices lower wasn't great, I do think that the that Maybe Happy Ending is very accessible to way more people than Akimbo and A Strange Loop was. And it's a lot more of a simplistic story, but that simplistic story may have negatively affected it where it's too simplistic and there's not enough of an intriguing concept. But I think that enough people have seen it where they're like, it's such a simple concept, and yeah, it's not like the most like out of this universe concept, but it's so good and amazing and emotional that you need to see it, and people are going to see it and being like, oh my god, I get what you're saying, you know. And as much as I love Akimbo and A Strange Loop, a lot of people walked out of those shows thinking, oh, like, this was good, but this wasn't amazing or genius, especially Akimbo. I heard that sentiment a lot, you know, because critics loved both of those shows, and audiences loved Akimbo and A Strange Loop, but I feel like not to the extent that critics did, especially with Akimbo. This time, I feel like the audiences and the critics are aligned very evenly, and I think that Maybe Happy Ending has a very different kind of sound to most musicals, but it's still contemporary enough and yet still traditional enough that the older audiences can like it. Grandma likes it, Gen Z likes it, you know, on the political spectrum, both sides can really enjoy it, and it just, in a weird way, it's the most uncommercial, kind of not by the book, not made by committee show at all, but yet it had all that of all the ingredients of a made-for-committee kind of show, that makes it like a marketer's dream. And I think that luckily they were able to get over the hump. I think that was kind of holding them back, which was, this concept's too simple, how are we going to make it more intriguing? And they've managed to just do that through, I think, great marketing, and mainly, I think that people just have seen it, and the word of mouth has been so strong on this, and it's become a must-see. I think it evolved from this kind of, oh, it's this cutesy little show, to this, like, you must see this. And I don't know exactly how that happened. I think, again, it was kind of very just organic. You know, sometimes these shows just gain this momentum organically and through word of mouth, and that just happened with Maybe Happy Ending. And even with shows that are great, like Akimbo, it doesn't get to that financial level of success. So Maybe Happy Ending is a very rare case of a show opening in the fall, which, again, I think all shows should open in the spring, especially if they're an original musical. But I think it was perfect timing, perfect place. All of the fall shows, like Tammy Faye, Swept Away, failed. You know, Death Becomes Her was the only other big show this season, so it doesn't have a lot of competition at the moment. But yeah, for people that are like, ooh, like, maybe my quirky little original musical might kind of follow the Maybe Happy Ending, you know, lane, you can try that, but even with amazing marketing, original musicals are struggling, but I'm glad that Maybe Happy Ending is showing that it's not over, that there is still a place, that it can not just get the critical praise, but the financial success, which is honestly the only way musicals live or die. And it doesn't matter what the critics think, it just matters what the money is. I can't stress that enough. This is very rare. You can't build a model off of this. The only way to build a model off of this is if you make formula-driven musicals, and we do not want that. But anyways, that's my rant on Maybe Happy Ending for the day. Moulin Rouge continues to do very poorly. 93% last week and 906K. This week at 92% and 977K. Honestly, listen, I don't know if they're gonna close. I mean, I've been saying they're gonna close for like a while now, and I know Boy George is coming back in, but this show is relying much more on stunt casting than ever, and it kind of didn't kind of get its way out of the ditch the way Hadestown has, which is very concerning, so definitely one to keep an eye out on. 6, 91% and 804K last week. This week, 85% and 842K. Sunset Boulevard, 90% to 96%, and 855K to 1,601,024, and that's because Nicole is back in. The Great Gatsby 92% and 1,543,854 to 94% and 1,856,068 with an average ticket of 164 and a top ticket of 624. That's insane. And it definitely did a lot better because this was Jeremy's last week, and it'll be very interesting to see how The Great Gatsby does post Jeremy and Eva. I looked at their advanced sales. They didn't look amazing, but it is getting into that January and February slump, so regardless, Great Gatsby's gonna take a hit, but I don't think it's gonna go under 1 million, and even if it does, it can take that for a couple of weeks, and then the summer, the spring, they'll be just fine. This is going to be here for many years to come. And then finally, The Outsiders selling out both weeks. 1,455,204 last week and 1,552,415. So anyways, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, sub, and comment, and I'll see you next time. Peace.